Fine. Yes. So thank you, devotees, for joining me this evening. And so we are going to be reading from chapter 16, the divine and demoniac natures, text 24. And so before we begin, I also will be, I just wanted to explain that I don't have the words for you, but there's an invocation that we do that also presents the connection with the divine and with Prabhupada and Krishna, and it's giving, so there's three times we say this, and so Leah will probably help, and so will Valerie. If you feel inclined, you may join us.
I will, yeah. I think I'm getting it down.
You're getting it down now?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Okay.
It's the singing.
It's the singing, yeah. Singing is what brings, and actually the Bhagavad is the song of God.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of singing and beautiful singing is associating. So, all right. Oh Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Oh Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Oh Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
I still need the lyrics. Not that good. All right. Thank you. Oh, there we go.
All right.
The words. And
Nice.
the lyrics.
Okay. So I was just passing out some papers
Thank you.
that, so we don't have to have the Bhagavad Gita on our laps right now.
Yeah.
And so so we have the text, and so we'll do the verse. And so I'll start by chanting the verse, and then you will repeat, and then I'll do it a couple of times, because this is a tongue twister for me as well, so I'm going to do my best. And then we'll see if anyone else wants to chant online. Okay, so again, this is chapter 16, text 24. Tasma shastram pramanam te. Kara karya devastita.
Karya Devastita.
Yanvasastra vidhanuktam.
Yanasastra Vidhanoktam.
Karma kartum iharhashi.
Karma Kartam Viharhasi.
Tasma shastram pranamante.
Tasma Shastram Pramanam Te.
Kara akarya virasvastate.
Karya Vivastita.
Yanatva sastra vidhanuktam.
Yanashastra Vinadoktam.
Karma kotum iharhashi.
Karma Kartam Viharhasi.
Tasma shastram pramanam te.
Tasma Shastram Pramanam Te.
Kara akarya vivastata.
Karya Vivastita.
Natva sastra vidhanuktam.
Yanashastra Vinadoktam.
Karma kartam iharhashi.
Karma Kartam Viharhasi.
Would you like to chant?
Tasma Shastram Pramanam Te.
Tasma shastram pranamate.
Karya Vivastita.
Kara akarya vivastita.
Yatra Shastra Vidhanoktam.
Yatva sastram vidhanuktam.
Karma Kartum Viharhasi.
Karma kartum iharhashi.
I'll try.
Okay.
I want to know the tongue twister.
Yes.
Tasma Shastram Pranamate.
Tasma shastram pranamate.
Karya Vyastita.
Kara akarya vasyasta.
Karma Kartum Viharhasi.
Yeah, let's try that.
Oh, that's why I don't
Yeah,
like.
that's okay.
Can you say that for me?
Natva sastra vidhanuktam.
Jnata Sastram. That Naktam.
Yatra Shastra Vidhanoktam.
Sastram Vida. Say it again.
Natvatastra
Let's just skip that one.
Vidhanuktam. That's okay.
I'll come
You go to the
back.
next line.
Karmakartam, Harsi, Harsi.
Karma kartam iharvashi.
Robin, you want to try it?
I'll try it with you.
Okay.
Okay. I like her.
Tashma shastram paramanante. Karya karya vivashtitam. Yatva sastra vidhanuktam. Karma kartam iharvashi. Would anyone online like to chant?
Tasmachastram pramanam te.
Tasma shastram pramanam te.
Karya karya vyavastitau.
Karya karya vivastita.
Yadva shastra vidanoktam.
Yada shastra vidhanuktam.
Karma kartu miharasi.
Karma kartum iharhasi.
Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te
Tasmachastram
Tasma shastra
pramanam te.
pramanam te.
Karya Karya Vyavastito Yatva Shastra Vidhanuktam
Yana shastra vidhanuktam.
Karma Kartum Iharhasi.
Karma kartum iharhasi. Okay, we'll go for the word for word. Tasmat, therefore, sastram, scriptures, pramanam, evidence, te, your, kara, duty, akarya, forbidden activities, vyavistito, in determining, yatva, knowing, sastra, of scripture, vidhanan, regulations, uktam, as declared, karma, work, kartum, to do, iha aharashi, you should do it. All right. Translation. One should understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. The purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. As stated in the 15th chapter, all the rules and regulations of the Vedas are meant for knowing Krishna. If one understands Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita and becomes situated in Krishna consciousness, engaging himself in devotional service, he has reached the highest perfection of knowledge offered by the Vedic literature. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made this process very easy. He asked people simply to chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and to engage in the devotional service of the Lord and eat the remnants of foodstuff offered to the deity. One who is directly engaged in all these devotional activities is to be understood as having studied all Vedic literature. He has come to the conclusion perfectly, of course, for the ordinary persons who are not in Krishna consciousness or who are not engaged in devotional service. What is to be done and what is not to be done must be decided by the injunctions of the Vedas. One should act accordingly without argument. That is called following the principles of Sastra or scripture. Sastra is without the four principal defects that are visible in the conditioned soul: imperfect senses, the propensity for cheating, certainty of committing mistakes, and certainty of being illusioned. These four principal defects in conditioned life disqualify one from putting forth rules and regulations. Therefore, the rules and regulations as described in the Shastra, being above these defects, are accepted without alteration by all great saints, acharyas, and great souls. In India, there are many parties of spiritual understanding, generally classified as two, the impersonalist and the personalist. Both of them, however, lead their lives according to the principles of the Vedas. Without following the principles of the scriptures, one cannot elevate himself to the perfectional stage. One who actually therefore understands the purport of the Shastras is considered fortunate. In human society, aversion to the principles of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all fall downs. That is the greatest offense of human life. Therefore, Maya, the material energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always giving us trouble in the shape of the threefold miseries. This material energy is constituted of the three modes of material nature. One has to raise himself at least to the mode of goodness before the path to understanding the Supreme Lord can be opened. Without raising oneself to the standard of the mode of goodness, one remains in ignorance and passion, which are the cause of demoniac life. Those in the modes of passion and ignorance deride the scriptures, deride the holy man, and deride the proper understanding of the spiritual master, and they do not care for the regulations of the scriptures. In spite of hearing the glories of devotional service, they are not attracted. Thus, they manufacture their own way of elevation. These are some of the defects of human society, which lead to the demoniac status of life. If, however, one is able to be guided by a proper and bona fide spiritual master who can lead one to the path of elevation, to the higher stage, then one's life becomes successful. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 16th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of the divine and the demoniac natures. So to invoke some auspiciousness and to help me clear my mind, there is in the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita a prayer that is sung. And so you're welcome to join me as we go through this prayer. Amajana Timirandasya Gnana Salakaya Akshara Militam Ena Tasmi Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svam Vandatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Ruta Parakaramalam Shri Guru Tainascha Shri Rupam Sagaravatam Sahagana Raganataram Vitam Tam Sijivam Savitam Savatutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Vyalita Shri Vaishnava Chaitanscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jabapate Gopisha Gopikam Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kancha Karange Radhe Vendaneshre Vairashanu Sudhe Devi Pranamane Hare Priye Vanshakavata Nascha Kripa Sindhu Heya Evacha Patitanam Peganeyo Vaishnavevo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashate Dasatara. So the verse again is Tasma Shastram Karanamate Karahataya Vaivastate Nana Sastra Hanuktam Karakatam Iharhashi. One should understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such regulations, such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. So this chapter, the divine and the demoniac natures, is can be triggering, and it can also be like enlightening. It's like it's got both components. And so when I been reading and studying chapter 16, I'm in a Bhagavad Gita class, and dear Govinda, David Wolf gave a very nice class last Saturday. And so it got my juices flowing to look at this again. And what I really was struck upon was knowing what to do and what not to do, what is my duty. And so I feel like there's so much instruction. We were just talking before everyone joined, how Prabhupada is so dear to his disciples and devotees that he transcribed what was handed down through the disciplic succession. So through our spiritual masters, he is our current link to the Parampara. So Prabhupada is speaking absolute truth in his purports that he gives. And so there's so much instruction that is provided to give guidance if one is open to receiving that knowledge. And so what I find is that it takes many years, at least for me in my process. So this chapter is also about looking at where are you at in your transformation process for hearing the Bhagavad Gita and hearing about Krishna and learning from a devotee that is like a pure spirit soul, Prabhupada. So it feels heavy, and it also feels like light because there's someone to give us this guidance. And I feel that in the beginning of my experience with the Bhagavad Gita, it was really falling in love with Krishna, like really enjoying the pastimes of Krishna and understanding how beautiful he is and how attractive he is and how the gopis loved him and what a good friend he is. What a good friend he is. Yes, Valerie saying what a good friend he is. There's all these good qualities. And so I hadn't really looked at what is my relationship with scripture. Like this is like really potent and heavy, as Valerie just said. So I feel in some ways it just took this many years to really understand the meaning, the significant meaning of reading each verse and letting it sit a while and be still and really be with it and really dive into it any ever deeper to get the rich knowledge that's available. And it helps when I want to make a decision, like what is best for Prabhupada, what is best for Krishna, what is best for my service. And so I recently had a great distress of what to do. And I really just chanted and I was reading and went to bed. And like at 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up, and this was on February 3rd. And it was just really clear. It was like really clear that I just gave myself that permission to sit with it. And I found that my service was really to create the most beautiful, loving relationship with my parents that I can by the time they're still with me. And also to give myself to Prabhupada's house as much as possible. And so like giving myself these Wednesday nights at Prabhupada's house is really special and enriching for me and for the family that I'm creating here in this environment. And so what I was releasing was my have to energy of being on the Sabbatoh board of directors. Like I was feeling really heavy about it because I had made a big impression upon the board that I wanted more interaction and I wanted more meetings and I wanted to understand what was going on with the Sabbatoh programs, being on the board. And not that there was resistance, but that there was a different way of going about communicating with one another on what activities are going on. So we made those arrangements. And so things are like moving nicely, like things are really happening nicely, communication between the directors. And so I just said, why am I adding another responsibility to something that is already under great leadership, and I've already served for like 4 years. And so it's time to rotate off and then be of service when I can for Sabato. And so I was like feeling really good about it. And then it was like, okay, that's good. I've got that taken care of. And then I get to the office and I open up my computer and then I see that David Wolf has given his resignation to me on the board of directors. I was like, oh my gosh. So then I was like, okay, now I have to be like really, I can't like back out now because I got this direction, this guidance. I'm looping, to my true authentic self. I'm clear and I want to go forward. So I made my announcement of my resignation. And so so it felt really clean and it felt like I really know what I wanted to create. And so then things flowed. So then the next, that afternoon, I went to my house at the lake, and I have a friend, Devin, who was looking at my Mustang. So I have a 66 Mustang that I had been talking about for over a year to put up for sale. And Susan and I have been back and forth about like when to do it, how are we going to do it? Let's just get it done. And because I've been taking care of my parents for 2 years, I haven't been able to really drive it. And it's just sitting there and I really want someone else to have that beautiful ride. And so I got this person to look at the car, said, yep, everything looks good. And I was like, okay, so I'll put it out there in March. And he looked at me, he goes, I think you're still attached to the Mustang. Why are you waiting? It's like, why aren't you like putting it out there? So I chanted and I thought of it overnight. And the very next day I went to Susan's house, and the very next day, and we took beautiful photos as the sun was setting and we put it out there. And so Facebook, it was, offered to my friends first, the thing, and then interest, but no serious buyers. And so Susan put it out there on Saturday, so just a couple days ago, and by Monday I had a buyer and they were driving off with it for a Valentine's Day gift. So that was like, I didn't have any control over any of that except to say yes, like, yes, I'm putting it up for sale. Yes, I'm not attached to it. And yes, now I can breathe again. And and part of that was because I just wanted to be able to do projects here at Prabhupada's house. And I also wanted to build a savings so that I am prepared for anything that might happen. And so it felt really good. And then the other piece that I wanted to do is to serve my parents. And so my mother's sister is in Leesburg, but she has not seen her sister in probably over 7 years. And she had my other aunt, who is their sister-in-law. My uncle passed away many years ago, and she comes to visit Florida every February. And so she came down from Iowa to be with my other aunt in Leesburg. And so we made arrangements to come to Prabhupada's house on Saturday, which was just, I just remember what day it was. I'm getting back on the 4th. Yeah, so it was just after all this posting and stuff. And so anyway, I felt like I wish really Mom would connect with her sister in person. I really wish Mom would allow her to come into her home and be in her space and be with her sister. And she at the time wasn't interested at all. She's very private, and she's going through some medical concerns, and she just wanted people to see her in a wheelchair and to see her frail. And so I decided, okay, I'm gonna, let that be. And I'm just gonna enjoy my time with my aunts, and I'll share my experience with Mom when I get home. So that same Friday night, after taking the pictures of the Mustang out at the lake, I went home to tell my parents how my aunts were going to come to Melrose, and we're going to have a beautiful lunch, and I'm going to show them Prabhupada's house, and then they'll go back to Leesburg. And my father said, well, I think your mother would like to see her sister. And I said, well, I would love it if Mother would want to see her sister. And so my mom said, I'd like to see my sister. And I was like, what? So I was like, what is going on here? So then she said that. I called my aunt immediately and I said, our plans have changed. You're going to come to Gainesville first. And then mom has a schedule. And when mom goes to have her little nap, then we'll come out to Prabhupada's house, and then we'll come back and we'll have some strawberries and have a little dessert together. And then you guys can go back to Leesburg. And my mom, it was so sweet. She actually wanted to come out to Prabhupada's house. She was like wanting to go after we had our lunch together. And she was so excited to go. And by the time we got things ready to go, she was tired. She had to lay down. So she laid down. So that was fine. We came and did our beautiful trip out here. We came home and we had our strawberries. And then it was time for them to go because it was 4 o'clock and they needed to go. So I expected like just like a quick goodbye. And all of a sudden, my mother was like a little child and she held out her arms and she just said, may I have a hug and a kiss? And she was just like, and she wanted that from both of her sister and her sister-in-law. And it was like the most beautiful memory that I could have created for our family to witness that and for her to be that and experience that. And for mom, she never shows emotion. And for her to do that, and then her eyes were getting red and filled with tears. And then because she was filling up with tears, Valerie's filling up with tears. So then my dad is filling up with tears. And so it was, it was just really beautiful. And it just showed me that if I spend more time, like focused time and energy, like what can be co-created, like how beautiful was that reunion for everyone concerned. And then my aunt made like a promise to make sure that she would come back and visit. And so that was, it was just so amazing. So like from there, I did want to share with you that my aunts are devout Catholics. And so they came to Prabhupada's house. And so I was a little concerned, and yet I was very excited because my one aunt plays the piano very nicely. And so I had posted a long time ago and I got my harmonium and she was like, what is that? She didn't know what the harmonium was. And so she was intrigued to know more about the harmonium. So when she came, she got to actually see the instrument herself. But I guess where I'm going with this is that one of the reasons why they had to leave at 4 o'clock is because it was Saturday. And if they got home by a certain time, they could go to mass on Saturday night so that they don't have to go to church on Sunday. So so it was bubbling up again in me. Like, this is why I chose this path. Like I had the Catholic religion down pat. I know what, you did your Sunday, going to church, and you would do your confession once a week, and you would do your penance, and then you would go out and do the same thing over again. So that's where I go with the demoniac nature, because it's like you have divine scriptures from the Bible, and the priest is there and everyone's there, but it's only an hour and a half out of an entire 7 days that someone is really connecting with God. Maybe not, maybe they're just in church because they have to energy. And what I find with the Bhagavad Gita and with the Sabbatoh community is just that it's a beautiful connection with God at every moment. Like, that's keeping Krishna in the center of everything, and keeping Prabhupada really close is because we want to go to our Heavenly Father, as I would call God, is now Krishna. And so I call God Krishna by his name. And so I'm also reaching out through his pure devotee, Prabhupada, to say, help me, Father, like help me with whatever I'm doing in life so that I can do your service and also do service for my family. And so we had a really good conversation when we were coming back from Prabhupada's house to Gainesville, that I got to share with her that I really, really enjoy like the energy. Like when I came in today, my energy was low. And then we did some kirtan, my energy started going up. And now that I'm giving class, it's like really like bouncing off the walls because my energy is just really heightened. And I get really filled up with all this beautiful wisdom and knowledge from the scriptures that we have through the Vedas. And so I was just sharing how much I didn't realize I needed this. Like I needed this community. I needed this connection. I needed this singing. I needed the joyful service that we do, the way we cook, the way we offer our food, and just the connections that we use with the different people that come to Prabhupada's house. And it just fills me up. It really just is amazing. And then it just spills over into every other area of my life and with my family. So I feel like giving myself Wednesday nights is now understood better by my family. So at first, the response was, so how many Wednesday nights is this going to be? Because we want you at home. And I stood firm and I said, well, hopefully for eternity, because I want to keep doing this, whatever I'm in, whatever shape I'm in, whatever body I take. I hope it's with some Krishna consciousness around me, that I'm surrounded by those that want to sing the Lord's name, number one, because that's what I love to do. And that's part of the scriptures too, is just what are the rules and regulations that support. And at first it can seem overwhelming. It was for me that, how in the world, because I love singing. I was singing the Maha Mantra for my japa. So you've got your japa beads, it's 108 beads. And I would sing, and it would take over an hour to sing, one round of japa. And I would complain to David Wolf and I'd say, but I'm singing with my whole heart and soul, and I'm only getting like maybe 4 rounds done because that's 4 hours of singing. And so I didn't like it because that was me. That was my ego. I was like, I've got to sing the Maha Mantra. I got to make it so meaningful that I've just got to like sing it. And, he's just going to have to understand that, how am I going to do my vow of 16 rounds of japa? Because, it's in my heart. I'm singing all day. I'm singing in the file room. I sing at work. I sing in the car. So doesn't that count? And so then I got the counter, instead of doing the beads. And then it just finally gave it up, because it was like, what did Prabhupada mean to his disciples when he said 16 rounds of japa? Like there is a what is it called? Not surrender. Sacrifice. Yes. So there's a sacrifice that I'm doing for the good of serving Prabhupada. And so I gave myself that experience, like, okay, I'm just going to chant and not sing. And that was really hard for me. And then as time went on, I would chant more. And you know what? I would joyfully sing throughout the day anyway. So I got the benefit of both worlds. I got to still keep my singing. And then I also got my 16 rounds of chanting in. And so following, that was my hardest vow to Prabhupada, because I already was okay with not eating meat, fish, or eggs. I was already not gambling, really hard on the intoxicants because I still like chocolate and other things, but and then no sex life, no illicit sex life. So I'm almost 60 and that's easy. I don't need sex life. So, but doing 16 rounds of japa, that was really, really hard for me. I was like, oof. And I needed to make a commitment, and I needed to know if I could honor that commitment. So I made a pact with myself to make sure that I could do that for at least 6 months before I took initiation, so that I was committed and firm and solid that was what I was going to do for the rest of my life in this human body, is to chant my rounds and then sing joyfully throughout the day. So the scriptures are ones that, just as far as looking at this purport again, I have some comments, some notes that I've written down, if you don't mind indulging me a little bit further in my class. I know I wanted to share some experiences first because I felt really charged, and it would heighten my my sharing with you. And then Rukmini posted on Facebook earlier today. I don't know if you know Rukmini, but I really loved her quote it, and I'm not going to be able to say it correctly, but basically Prabhupada was saying that all children are naughty, but they become intelligent. Like, and that was my experience too with, I feel like it's the naughtiness. I'm not going to do my rounds of chanting. It's like I'm being a really naughty kid.
You say that again? All children are naughty.
So yeah, so like, you know, if you're a naughty child, you actually become more intelligent in Christian consciousness. It's kind of like, it kind of goes hand in hand. It's like the hippies in San Francisco, and the one hippie that became a disciple, he actually was someone who did drugs and sold drugs and was going to be going to prison because he was caught selling drugs. And he discovered this Prabhupada, he called him Swami. And because the court system takes so long to you know, decide what your penalty is going to be, right? So before you go to the court, so by the time he actually had his court date, he had gotten married, he had gotten initiated, he had the Radha Krishna temple in San Francisco. He had a mission by Prabhupada to go to London and set up a temple there, and to meet the Beatles, and to like, you know, get all these personalities interested in the Maha Mantra. And so he like had all these other devotees that would write letters of references to the judge. And so like, it was just amazing. So here's a naughty child, right, who was into like the heaviest of things you can get into. And he was so turned on to Krishna. That was his high now. He just quit cold turkey. Like when Prabhupada decided to finally show up to San Francisco, he and his then girlfriend said, okay, we got to stop. We have to stop doing drugs. Like the Swami's coming and there's no more drug taking because we can't be doing drugs with Swami here. And like they gave all their drugs away to their friends that were still doing drugs, and they were like, yay. And so, but yeah, so it's amazing how, again, the authentic self, like when you really, when I connect with my authentic self, it's amazing, like what's really there, what's really possible, what's very powerful. And so to hear stories from those that actually were with Prabhupada in his early mission to United States, and traveling and setting up different temples, and you know, within 10 years, there's so many people that came to Christian consciousness and read the Bhagavad Gita. So that's something else that David Wolf shared in last Saturday's class, was that, you know, the Bhagavad Gita used to be, or is, interpreted by many individuals, but they're not giving you as it is. So that's why the book of Bhagavad Gita as it is really important, that you get the one from Prabhupada, and also that you get the edition that's before November 14th in 1977, when he disappeared, when he went back to Godhead. So that makes sure that the editors after 1977 didn't change something that we're not aware of. So if you make sure you get the right edition, you're getting the full potency of Prabhupada, who is delivering the scriptures for us. So yeah, so I was just feeling like inspired to talk about the naughtiness. And Chaitanya was a really naughty child, wasn't he, Melanie? So we're in the Chaitanya Charita class, and I got to do a class on how naughty Chaitanya was.
That little fucker, though.
Yeah, he would make the babies cry, and he would steal, you know, butter, and and all the neighbors would complain, and you know, it was just he's such a trickster, right? So the transcendental naughtiness can become part of your transformation into being intelligent by taking these scriptures and using the knowledge and applying them in your day-to-day life and knowing what to do. Like, I feel like I used to worry a lot. I used to like really sit with like, what am I going to do? Because I thought I knew best for myself, but that wasn't true, because then I would be up all night and I didn't know what to do the next day. I still wouldn't know. So I feel like over time, it's just trusting that the chanting and the reading and the singing all are connecting with God in the heart. And so that helps direct me and what I want to do with my life and what I don't want to do with my family and what I want to do here at Prabhupada's house. So yeah. Okay. So I'm feeling actually I'm feeling like I don't really go through my other notes right now, because I'm kind of wondering what people are thinking and maybe share a little bit, and then if we have more time in class we can always go back to my other notes that I've been kind of.
It's like the singing thing.
It's kind of like the singing
more.
thing. It's more, yeah. So we can do a little bit now of sharing, and then we can do a little more. So I'm open to hearing from anyone online or someone here in the room. So yes, I welcome you to share what's happening for you. You want? Okay, Valerie wants to share.
No, I'm saying let them have first grabs.
Oh, let them have first grabs.
I'm like,
Okay.
here.
Okay.
Welcome.
All right. So I guess people are being shy here. So anyone
I'm always
online?
asking myself, you know that.
Yes.
I
Okay. I guess Valerie's going to speak. Okay. Here we go.
I have all these notes because it's so powerful. I did like reading that quote, and then by the end of the class, like, or the purport, the quote, I'm thinking of the Beatles.
Yeah.
Like it's, my opinion has changed, like it's evolved like since an hour ago. And it's like, I remember Stephanie first telling me about those 4 principles.
Yeah.
And I was like, you are out of your mind, lady. Like, you are crazy. But when you just said them, I was like, yeah, like 2 of those things, 3 of those things are already, I will never gamble. I don't understand it. I think it's stupid. Eating meat, still working on it, but really close, like really close. Like I'm even not eating meat at restaurants now, which is huge for me.
Yeah.
Like sex, you know. Not sure yet. I'm not 60.
To beget children.
But yeah, it's like outside of marriage, right?
But yeah, to raise children.
Like
and push
yeah.
cautious, yeah.
But I was so like rigid and had all these reservations, and the more I get to know Krishna and the Bhagavad Gita and like spend time with, I never knew your whole journey, and the more I get like those connections and like feeling more understood, and like Krishna's just pushing me in my face, like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm here, like I've got the answers. And then what you said about staying up all night, like I've been having all of this anxiety the past 2 days and just like worrying myself. And this morning I finally got 2 hours of sleep because I was like, that's why I said I love Arjuna, because I was having a conversation. I was like, I'm just gonna pretend like I'm Arjuna. It's like I'm just gonna have a conversation with Krishna in my head, and checking in with that to make sure it's authentic and I'm not like faking myself out, you know, like being inauthentic with myself. I really resonated when you said that. Resonated with that because it's been a really helpful tool. I love your class. I think you should do more. You're exploding and vibrant and happy and joyous, and it does leak over. I mean, it's infectious. Look at me. I'm like, no, it's so good. And then the transcendental, not to miss.
Yes.
That's my pearl, just in advance. That's it.
Nice.
Okay, I'm done. Pearl is done.
Okay. All right.
I love her.
Aw. Thank you, Valerie,
Thanks,
for your pearl up front, and your excitement, and you're taking away from this class some tips that might help you going forward, and to really look at the regulations and how they might support you.
Your cheeks in the
Yeah, Krishna's right in front of you. Did you say that?
yeah,
in your
he's
face?
like, hello.
He's in your face, and you
I'm
say hello.
right here. Like, I've got answers. Like I'm here for you. And I've experienced even peace through chanting when I've been having like an anxiety attack. I think I told Anasuya about that once. Like it was right first time I was like, I'm just gonna give it a shot. Like can't hurt to chant. And I've never felt peace like that ever in my life. And I've had a pretty crazy life. Like it's just peace. It's peace and knowledge and love and intelligence. And
So you gave yourself
higher thinking.
the experience of chanting when you were really highly in anxiety, and you just found that it was peaceful.
Yeah, like I wasn't
Gave yourself
alone.
peace. You weren't alone. Yeah. You felt Krishna was there with you.
I really did.
Nice.
I really do.
Beautiful.
I have something to share.
Oh yeah. Okay, Lakshmi Priya.
It's nice having you here on Wednesday nights. I'm glad that you get to see what we do here. It's different every Wednesday, but still you're getting exposed to it instead of me telling you about it. What's coming up for me is that earlier today when Robin and I were making dinner for tonight, we were talking about what are you gonna speak about? And then Aaron came in and said, well, what is she leading class? And so I shared with him the verse that you had shared earlier in the day with me when I asked you what verse are you choosing for tonight. And then I thought in my head, well, what's class going to be like? And then I shared that with the girls, and it was completely different than what it was. And so I'm appreciating that, because we just read chapter 16 together, so it was fresh on my mind. We just had class on Saturday, so it's super fresh. And so when I read the verse, which is the last verse in chapter 16, I had all in my mind what class would look like if I was leading it. But I shared with them, I'm like, but that doesn't mean that's where she's going with it. She'll share her own experience with this verse in chapter 16, and she'll speak for, and I just am appreciating right now how different it can look with each of us teaching and leading class. And I'm appreciating Melanie giving us this platform so we can practice sharing what we're experiencing as we read through the Bhagavad Gita, each of us in different levels and places in our life, different experiences, different lengths of time with this consciousness, and knowing that it's all acceptable, that there's no right way, because I don't really know that kind of learning and sharing that's like I came from very rigid, like this is how it's supposed to be background. And so that perfectionism is dissolving in me, and it feels more like while not interpretive, because we're not here to interpret what Prabhupada's saying in the scriptures, we're just sharing where we're at in a way that we're relating, how we're relating to this particular verse today. Tomorrow, if I read more tonight, or I have another conversation with another devotee or any of my Christian friends, like today, Jennifer called me about something and shared, and I was already working on the questions for chapter 17, and one of them deals with Matthew 15:11, and I was sharing that with her because she knows the scriptures. And so we had a conversation, and so the answer I wrote yesterday changed already in one day. And it does that so much, even with the Vedas. It's like it's a different we grow as much as we're willing to immerse ourselves and from our own background. And then when we lead class, I can see your experience tangibly right here. And we never have time to have too many of these conversations. So it just kind of blows my mind, like what a gift it is to have this way of sharing with each other where we're at, and knowing that we all accept each other where we're at, and there's no right or wrong or levels. It just is. And so what I said, it would be completely different. And yet we got so much value from what you shared. So just wanted to kind of bring that out, because it's just so tangible right now how much I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmi Priya. I feel like I was doing the perfectionism in my preparation. Like I had a lot of I was going to quote all sorts of different scriptures from different verses. And then it just, I feel like with our surrender and Shingadev during our prayers before Kirtan, I just went with the heart. Like I just kind of dropped that, and I decided I was just going to share myself and what I, at that moment, what I was experiencing. So I appreciate that we all have a different experience when we read something, and then depending on what's happening for us at that time, that it's valuable. It's just so valuable that it's always perfect when you need to see it and when you read it, and it changes. It's dynamic. Yeah. And
it reminded me of like Ruda's class on Sunday. He's speaking from where he knows that to be right at that moment.
Yeah.
Whatever he prepared, whatever we prepare, whatever you prepared, it's of course there's always more we want to share in places, but we're in a place where everyone's sitting here joining us is we know and trust each other and respect each other in a way because of the principles that are in the Shastra that you were just saying. These principles and regulations are how we got there.
Oh, thank you.
She said community.
Yeah, community, absolutely. Hi, community. Hi, Damayanti Garuda. Hi, Krishna. I see your hand is raised now. I'm now looking at you. How are you this evening? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mother Anasuya, thank you for your class. I was, we were preparing dinner and eating dinner while the class was going, and I really wanted to focus on it, but that's kind of where we were at tonight. But I experienced you as like solid and really alive in your sharing and your experience and with this process of bhakti yoga. And I appreciate also your sweetness and just your intention and what you are creating with your family to cultivate more intimacy and love there. And then as well as Prabhupada's house, I'm feeling affection toward. I really like the fact that you guys have an intention to gather for Wednesday night's Bhagavad Gita class, and I think that's really sweet. Take prasad and do some kirtan and attend class and share together. So I'm appreciating that as well. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for the time and energy that you put into this class. I know that I hear from you that you over endeavored, and maybe that information will still be shared, maybe not, but I just, I'm seeing in my life recently, I'm really noticing connecting to the community and just being in this practice, like being in the Krishna conscious conversations more often has been a really, I've noticed a difference in my life, a quality in my life. And I feel like I want to continue to keep that going. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hey, Garuda. I really appreciate all of your appreciation for me and the sweetness. And I love your service here at Prabhupada's house. So it would not be in as good order as if you weren't here. So I appreciate your service. And I hear the connection and the association with devotees is something you want to do more and more of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
I'd like to share just an
Yes, Damina.
appreciation. Thank you for the class, Mother Anasuya. Hare Krishna. I got something that stuck out to me that spoke to me is your like setting your own process of figuring things out aside. And it seemed like a theme in the class was like coming back to what does Krishna want? What would please Prabhupada, and surrendering, making that your focal point of surrender. And there's like a sweetness and a clarity to that, like simplicity, that is very appealing to me, to just be like, oh, let me set aside my realizations and my preferences because of my affection to God and my spiritual master. Like they really take precedence over what I think I know. And there's like a sweetness to that. And that's what I'm taking from the class. Thank you.
Thank you, Damayanti. I appreciate your appreciation and your love for Prabhupada, and surrendering. I hear you're willing to let that go.
I'm willing to experiment with that, but
I
don't know exactly.
Okay. You're in your process.
You gave me inspiration to go in that direction, but I don't know if I'm letting everything go.
Okay. I'm glad to give you inspiration. All right. So right at 1 hour, and I'm happy to share more, or we can call it an early evening and the prasad could start happening sooner.
Thank you, Anasuya Prabhu. I really appreciate the way you weave principle into your story. like you really brought up to the light, that we can be very helpless in the material world with questions that we don't have responses to. And instead of forcing a response, and instead of like trying to control, you kind of allow yourself to go to what's essential, hearing and chanting. And after hearing and chanting, it seems like all aspects of your life became clear. What to keep, what to give up, where to put your energy. And then it seems in your example that it was quite magical how everything happened. And it was hearing of the Krishna's magic. And we can decide to live in that magic every day, all the time. We are separating ourselves from that magic, and that magic is always available. And then that's what I'm getting in your, like, if you wish, with divine qualities and following the instruction of given to us for our liberation from the entanglement of the material energy and trying to solve everything, then every moment become like a dance and with Krishna. Yeah. So I appreciate it. Was joyfully received. The class joyfully received. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I like the dance. I like that how you say that. And then also we're always at choice. Like we can have Krishna magic every day, every moment if we choose it. Yeah. Very nice.
I have like a question.
Okay,
I guess,
sure.
that I really wanted to ask that
Yeah.
maybe more ears would be better to have. Now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
You mentioned how I bought 3 of the wrong versions of the Bhagavad Gita before I got the right one. There are a lot of fakers out there. But do you recommend like reading any of those, or like I don't like? Is it?
Well, my
I just don't know.
yeah, I would caution,
Yeah.
because I feel like
that
that was really the message that I got from David when I was buying, like even the Srimad Bhagavatam. He was like, okay, I want to see before you place the order, like exactly what it is you're getting, and make sure that it is Prabhupada before he left his body, because anything could happen after his body, what they could publish after that. And then also, if it's not Prabhupada who's speaking, then what are you getting? What you don't know.
Kind of what my gut was telling me, but I was like, maybe I'll just ask, just to be sure, because I like the rules.
I feel like that's something you could give away.
Yeah, it's like uncurious. Yeah, it's just sitting in a box, to be honest. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't even go on the shelf. I got my
nice.
DVDs on the shelf.
Nice.
But
Yeah.
that was the question.
Okay. All right. Beautiful. All right. So I feel like I'm complete. I feel like it's a really sweet way to end our time together. And that way I get to enjoy more of the community here at Prabhupada's house and not have to rush home to mom and dad yet to do prasad. So, I'm like, oh, Jim, hello, please. Hi, Hare Krishna. I don't hear you, Jim.
I was just saying hi and bye.
Okay.
I enjoyed the class. I enjoyed your. I could relate to the boundaries part, and that's something I'm working with. Yeah, I need to develop that part. So I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for coming tonight.
And Anasuya,
Yes.
I just want to thank you for the beautiful talk you gave this morning, or this evening rather, and Damayanti and Garuda. I want to just reiterate just what they said. In other words, I love what they shared with you, and that's also from my heart. I can feel that same message there. Beautiful to see your growth, and always beautiful to experience the dedication of the community, which is always in my heart as well. And happy to be servant of the servant, perhaps. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Susan, for your service always. Okay, like Bhagavad Gita, Ki Jai.
Yeah.
Prabhupada, Ki Jai.
Jai.
Hey,
Prabhupada's house, Ki Jai.
hey,
Prashad, Ki Jai.
hey, Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Anasuya Prabhu. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Have a beautiful evening
Look how-
in your community over there. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
It's so great.
Aw.